Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. Again, under less than ideal circumstances. Oh, well, sorry about that. There's some, I've been wanting to do a series of videos, planning on that, because things are getting complicated, they're getting deep, they're getting hot, they're getting heavy, not changing any in that respect. And there's some upcoming time frames that I've wanted to get this series done by, and one of them was March 4th. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody really knows. I think, including the main players in the whole thing. And I'm talking, the politicians don't even know. I think there's some indicators in Scripture that we might be able to look at, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So the one time frame I was looking at was March 4th, and the reason for that was because this is just all, you can say it's nonsense or not, or some people might be wrapped up in this, might be caught up in it, quote unquote, involved, captivated, whatever, excited about, I don't know, however you want to put it, but about a lot of the QAnon and Donald J. Trump information that's been out there on the web. And I say that to say that, yes, it's not nonsense. Get out of here. It's not, some people write me and say, that's nonsense stuff, and it isn't nonsense. It is very complicated, it's very deep, it's very heavy, and it's way beyond being just nonsense. It's very involved, and that's one of the things I wanted to deal with over a course of quite a few videos. So it took a little piecemeal at a time, a little bite at a time, so I don't totally blow your head out of the water or just confuse people. So, but March 4th was the original, according to the United States Constitution, was the day when the president would be inaugurated. The reason it was set for March 4th, which is much later than what we typically have been observing at January 20th, was to give the sitting president time to combat and figure out and to fight foreign interference in the election. Okay, and that's bad back when you had ships and things and letters being sent and horses running around and stagecoaches and whatnot. Transportation was slower. But in what's happened in this last election is it would have been nice to have until the 4th. He didn't have any time to present cases and whatnot, and it was always like, no, sorry, we're out of time. So that was an issue. So that was one reason for wanting to get some information out there before then. Now I'm going to say allegedly, presumably, and there's, like I said, this is not nonsense. It makes all kinds of sense. It makes absolute sense. And that is that did Donald Trump sign an insurrection act for Washington, D.C., if nothing else? There's two people on the ground, as far as I know, keeping up with Washington, D.C. going-ons. And that is a Mustang medic who used to restore Mustangs, and Penguin 6. You might subscribe to them and keep an eye on that. And, I'm sorry, Red Stepstacker, if he's still on. Red Stepstacker. I haven't checked on him in a few days. Penguin 6, he does hikes and drives around Washington, D.C. and does, travel logs, information, historical stuff. He's lived there his whole life. Mustang Medic, however, was a QAnon supporter who went to Washington, D.C. for the 6th and just felt led to stay there. So both of them have been giving on-the-ground reports. Penguin 6 is there enough, and it's been there long enough to know that when two choppers come in, one of them is a decoy and one of them is not. One of them is Marine 1 with the president or taking off with the president. The other one is a decoy. And the real one goes to the White House. The other one veers off. So apparently Marine 1 has landed at the White House once, maybe. We don't know. Of course, if you're following me at all or following the internet at all, you would know that presumably, allegedly, we don't know for sure, President, quote-unquote, Joe Biden and his sidekick, or President Kamala Harris and her sidekick, Joe Biden, are not in the White House, not at the White House. They are in, studio, Castle Rock Studio in California. We don't know. And there's a lady there on the ground who's been doing walks and drives and interviews and with local people and asking them questions and trying to figure out what's going on. There's one light that's been on at the White House at night. Other than that, lights go out at 11. One night there was a rush of emergency vehicles coming in right as Pelosi banged the gavel for 6 p.m. recess, adjourned until tomorrow morning at whatever time. And all of a sudden, this big, long line of emergency vehicles pulled up, big, huge vehicles. I never did hear what happened. That was from Mustang Medic, and didn't hear anything. Didn't even bother to say what he saw or stay on the video long enough to see. I see them bringing out things. One time they brought out bags, and they think they might have been bringing children out from underground tunnels. We don't know that either. So much unconfirmed information. It's ridiculous. Like I've said from the start, we're never going to know the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. We're just going to get bits and snippets, and there's cross, double cross, triple cross, information, disinformation, triple disinformation, confusion, etc. So, speaking of confusion and chaos, order out of chaos. Another reason for the 4th, and this next Friday coming up, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after that, about 10 days from now, March 5th. Interestingly enough, and I'll give you the site this came from. Apophis will fly by Earth on March 5th, 2021. This time, though, it will be at a much greater distance away from Earth than its approach scheduled to take place in 2029. So this is like a first look at this comet. It's a comet, theoretically. Got it? Comet coming. Halley's comet. No, Lucifer's hammer. Tim Hamner's comet. Lucifer's hammer. You should read that book. It's a good preppy book. Not as good as it used to be my number one book, but after reading Lights Out and reading it online, it doesn't hold a candle to it in the way of practical, everyday preparedness stuff, and from a much better perspective, a much more biblically based perspective. So, okay, so moving right along. I got these out of order. There was another one that I wanted to show. Why do they say chaos is coming? Well, we'll see that in a minute here. But okay, this is from whatever website. Apophis, Apep, also spelled Apepi or Apep, A-A-P-E-P, or Apophis. Ancient Greek. There's the Greek. That's Alpha, Pi, Omicron, Phi, Iota, and Sigma. Was the ancient Egyptian deity who embodied chaos, Ist in Egyptian, and was thus the opponent of light and Ma'at, order or truth. He appears in art as a giant serpent. Remember that giant serpent. Okay, so in the sky, he appears in the constellation. We'll get to that in a minute, but this is the 23rd of September 2017, the alignment where the woman with the crown of 12 stars over her head, the moon at her feet, and pregnant and giving birth to the king, Jupiter. Jupiter was in her womb area for 9 months, and then on September 23rd, Jupiter came out from between her legs and then was taken up into heaven. The man-child was taken up into heaven. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. So she was born, and the baby was born. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God. They should feed her there 2,203 short days. 1,203 short days, 1,260 days. Got it? No idea why my voice is funny, but it is. We'll deal with it. Okay. So you go to a calculator and you take September 23rd, 2017, and add 1,260 days. Okay. The result is March 6th, 2021, according to that per calculation. You can do it yourself. Okay, and where does Apophis appear in the, what is it, there you go, Red Stepstacker, her most recent post. I don't know what that is. We'll see. Oh, come on. I don't want to go to them either. That'll really miss. I did. Darn it. Sorry about that, guys. Fiddly Melly. Come on. Pause it. Oh, that's bullcrap. Okay. I turned the notifications off. So Hydra is the constellation, the giant serpent that where Apophis is going to appear. So interesting, right? Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Now, oddly enough, this is just insane, but some guy started writing a book out of Britain, a trilogy, 3 short stories and 3 books. One was called The Knife That Don't Let Go or whatever, so it became Chaos Walking. This is the title of the first volume of the trilogy, and that was made into a movie, and it is opening on March 5th. Chaos is coming. Is that bizarre or bizarre? Just a coincidence, nothing to see here, I don't know. But it doesn't, it's very odd. Only in theaters March 5th. The Knife of Never Letting Go. What a name for a book, huh? Anyway, that became Chaos Walking. About people reading minds, being able to read minds, and it's taken, the title of that movie, the book is taken from a quote from the first book, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Without a filter, a man is just chaos walking. Okay, if you don't filter our minds, if you don't filter your mouth, you're just chaos walking. And most people are just chaos walking. They say the first thing that comes to their mind, and a lot of the first thing that comes to your mind is from demons. So we're constantly upsetting each other, cutting in, interrupting and not thinking. So we do way too much of that. And this video that I'm taking most of those screenshots from is from this Steve Fletcher. And I think I've got another screenshot here. Yeah. Chaos is coming March 5 to 6, 2021. And then he did another video on Chaos Walking where he talks about that movie. And that's March 5th, opening March 5th. So very bizarre. So I thought that I would do a video on this. I did this way to show at the top there. Chaos is coming March 5 to 6. In case I forgot to do the other one, to show you where it came from. That's the title of the video. And that's his bedroom. Okay, whatever. Go away. Steve Fletcher 222. And he says, hello, YouTubers, this is Trumpet for the people of the Lord, or something like that. And so that's today is the 23rd. By the time you see this, it'll probably be the 24th before it uploads. So that gives us another about 10 days, roughly. And I don't know, just word to the wise type of thing. But this is exactly 1,260 days from the great sign in the sky. If you give any credence to that, and I do, I think that Father has his time, his seasons, and if we're wise, we'll listen and we'll watch, and you should not be taken unawares. So scientists prepare for their last good look at asteroid Apophis before 2029 flyby. Chaos is coming. That's the name of the asteroid, basically. It's chaos. So order out of chaos. Apophis, the most intimidating asteroid around, is coming in for a visit. Very bizarre way to word that. So, giant serpent appears in the sky, and Hydra, the serpent. And March 5th is coming up. So, life may change. This may be the last time you hear from me. I don't know. I wanted to talk about the other 3 things: is spiritual preparedness. Understand that, it may be that things happen according to biblical timetables. In other words, like I said, feast days. I've talked about this several times, but we're coming up on the first of the year here, the first of the biblical year, and observation of Passover. I would suggest and recommend that you somehow or another observe Passover. I think it'll be a blessing for you. Not keeping the law, you're just doing what you're commanded to do. Jesus said, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments." Well, when they had the Last Supper, he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." Well, he was observing Passover. You can argue all you want. People say, no, he wasn't. He was just having the Lord's Supper. Well, he said, we're going to go observe Passover, being ready for the Master for the feast. And they did. They observed Passover, and that's when he was slain. on Passover. So I don't think you can dispute that. I don't think anybody would dispute that. It would be idiotic to do so. Day of Pentecost, when that was fully come, the Holy Spirit was poured out, and the law that was given at Sinai was written on our hearts. Okay, those two feasts have been fulfilled in time, in reality, in with history behind it. Then you have the third great feast of the year, and that is Tabernacles, which is the last ingathering, the great final harvest. Does that sound familiar? I hope it does. There will be a last final ingathering, a last harvest. But first, the goats and the tares and whatnot will be taken out. So I'm just saying, get your heart ready, get your heart right with God. I know people who think they're a believer because they went to church when they were a kid. Got nothing to do with going to church. I hate to tell you. It has to do with a personal relationship with Messiah. I know people who observe Torah. They're Torah observant. T-O, Torah observant. They know the law inside and out, but a lot of them don't know Messiah. And I had one of them tell me that. I have a really good relationship with the Father, but I don't have a good relationship with the Son. Well, the Son said, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me, you've seen the Father. The only way to get to the Father is through me. And this man said he doesn't have a good relationship with the Son. Well, you think it might be a good idea to do that? So a lot of Torah people, if you listen to this, I'd like you to search your heart to say, do I really have a personal relationship with Messiah? Do I have a personal relationship with Yeshua HaMashiach? You can call him whatever you want, but if you don't know him, he's going to say, I never knew you. That's what he's going to say. He says that in his word very clearly. If you don't know him, he's going to say, I don't know you. Is that pretty simple? I think it is. Everybody that hears that should understand that. Okay. Mental, emotional preparation. Oh, my word. I don't know. What can I say? Life is going to change. There was people who had hope that, Donald Trump was going to end the swamp, drain the swamp. But what do you do? What happens when you drain the swamp? All those critters that are in the swamp are able to escape and walk better and get around and kill better. So I don't know that draining the swamp is really much of a solution. Didn't say hunt down and kill all the swamp creatures, although some of that has been going on. Operation Underground Railroad, and there's a website that I put links for in another video. But a lot of underground human trafficking has been curtailed to a large degree. Many arrests have been made, so there is some progress being made on that respect in that area. But be prepared for drastic changes in your life. Look at Texas. One guy's got it was automatic, set up to automatically deduct from his account. So he gets just short of $17,000, $16,800 and some dollar hit on his account, withdrawn from his account. Now, of course, most of us wouldn't have that kind of money in our account, but imagine how many Texans had it set up with automatic withdrawal, and now suddenly they're short $15,000, $16,000, $20,000 out of their account. That's why I say, man, make use of your money and your time and your efforts, your tools, and your equipment now, because you may not have them for very long. So Texas is finding that out. Every single person in Texas should be looking at doing. Everybody that knows about this should be thinking about doing an underground house with a rocket stove, passive heating and passive cooling. Totally feasible. Go underground. Don't have to worry about heat or cold. So read my book too. Read my book, How to Get Out of Babylon. Look it up on lulu.com. PDF file, it's free. Write me. I'll send you the PDF file or links for it. You can download it. Read it tonight. Read it in 20 minutes. Not a long read, but there's a lot of information there on how to stay alive and how to survive what's coming. So I look like I'm going to use for a screenshot for this thumbnail, but so anyway, and then physically, Get get yourself into a home where you don't, in a situation where you don't have any debt. You should not have any debt over your head at all. Period. Monthly payments, and that's about it. But you know, you can, for what a man can makes in 6 months, he can build a home. Build a home. Doesn't have to be a McMansion. You don't have to have a 15 rooms or 20 rooms, or you don't have to have 3.5 bathrooms. Just build a home, buy a home, get something paid for where you're out of debt, and then you have capability to live. I quoted the other day I should be able to find it. I think I'm going to pause this and see if I can find it, because it was a very profound statement. Okay, back on. Couldn't find it. But anyway, it said basically, no man or woman need fear any king while they have a farm and a cottage, and a cow and a goat and a garden and an orchard, and a well. So something of that line. It was about early American colonial mindset, and I talked about this in another video, that Thomas Jefferson's idea was we call it the Jeffersonian farm, and this is the only chance we have of remaining free, is to have hundreds of thousands, millions of family farms, and that's what's going on in America right now. Is people that want to be left alone, homestead, but the problem is that you need to do that not in Texas or Oklahoma or Oregon or Montana, but where you can, enough of them around that you can actually survive, and that's the only one place for that is Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. The Ozark Plateau is, in my estimation. That's just my personal opinion, based on history, all of Scripture, and everything else. So, I was just want to say in closing, I want to recommend a couple channels here. High Impact Flicks. This guy Brian, whatever his name is, last name I don't know, but Brian has a lot of good information on QAnon, interesting things. And he does, I think, too much share stuff. He's got a really long, drop down description thing of everything in the world to buy and different things, food as sources and battery and power, and he's got a lot of good products. I'm not knocking it, but he's been completely, totally, what do you call it, shadow banned and deplatformed on YouTube, although he's still on YouTube, but he doesn't make any money on that, so he sells things and whatever. So whatever. I think he's got some good information. He's good thinking about the whole Donald Trump and Q Anonymous. So look at that. Any other videos, recommendations? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So okay, sorry. I'm going to shut this one down and appreciate it. Yeah, bless everyone. I'll try to address different things that need to be addressed. But coming up here in 10 days, I was already concerned about it because of the possibility that, good things happening theoretically, but I don't think it's going to be good. That's my point. I'm just going to hint at that right now. Listen to Brian. He asked the question, when has government ever saved you from government? The idea of Trump and a whole bunch of good guys, knights in white, shining armor, white horses and white hats. Fairy tale. Fairy tale with a lot of history behind it. I don't want to go into that gradually, but little by little. So, listen to Brian. I know one. Israeli News Live with Stephen Yana. His wife's name is Yana, like Jan, Jana, Yana Ben Nun. Listen to them. All right, that's it. My throat's going. All right, bye bye. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant.